Welcome back. All right, so since posting the 4 videos about the divisions and who's been exposed and who's been protected, I have been creating Seattle Kraken teams. There's 2 rosters here, and then we'll talk about Vegas, because Vegas is coming up a lot again as to why they're exempt. Well, they're exempt because there was $650 million paid by Seattle. Vegas didn't get a dollar. All that money was split by the other 30 teams. So they get paid, what, $20 million in order to lose a player. I think teams will be okay with that. And players of consequence, not a lot of them on the exposed lists. Definitely a lot of attention paid to some of the bigger names, but I don't necessarily see a lot of the bigger names going. So I gave myself a challenge with the first team I put together. Draft Carey Price. Now we're starting to hear Carey Price might have a hip problem, and he might be out for quite a while. Okay, sure. So Weber, now Carey Price. We'll see who else has issues between now and the expansion draft, right? But, and I'm not doubting that Carey Price might have aches and pains that are bothering him. The timing seems a little bit odd. But anyways, there you go. We'll look at the team I put together with Carey Price on it. And Seattle, the funny thing is, it came out today that Seattle is thinking about taking Carey Price. They're putting some thought into it. They're leaning towards not taking Carey Price, but they're thinking about it. And now word has leaked out that Carey Price might be badly hurt, and he might need to miss some significant time this coming season. So, the war is on. So Seattle, the team that I put together, both teams I put together, center. Center is going to be a massive problem. So what I think happens is that the expansion draft gives you, it gives you your baseline. And then I think it's going to be a matter of Ron Francis this summer going out and trying to improve the center depth, either through free agency or through trade. So in the expansion draft, I grabbed Killorn, Tanev, Cahoon, who's a restricted free agent, and Bunting, who's an unrestricted free agent. Those are all on the left side. So I think that's an okay left side. I mean, there's some scoring in there. There's some physicality in there. I think that's solid. Down the middle, this is where they're going to have a problem. So you've got Domi, McCann, Lizotte, and Gambrell. So the problem really is there's no true first-line center there. And so whether they go out and they draft Matty Beniers and talk him into playing this year and see what they can do or whatever they do, first-line center is going to be a problem. On the right side, I have Eberle, Donskoy, Blackwell, and McEwen. So Zach McEwen, Colin Blackwell, Jonas Donskoy, Jordan Eberle. That's what I have on the right side. Again, go through Cap Friendly, make your teams, and enjoy yourself. It's tremendous fun. Which would mean that the extras, the ones that I didn't end up finding a spot that I really liked for them, were Chris Tierney, Colton Sissons. Although I will say that if they draft Sissons, they'll probably figure out a way to get him in the roster because he's got cap certainty for quite a while. Adam Gaudette, who's a restricted free agent, and Studenic, who is a restricted free agent as well. Studenic, I would think they probably hold on to as a 13th forward. And again, that's just me, and that's if you're not doing anything other than the expansion draft, which you're going to. The blue line, you can build a decent blue line here. So on the left side, I've got Gostisbehere, Lauzon, and Bean. On the right side, I've got Stetcher, Dunn, and DeMello. Now, where this gets interesting too is that your extras, I've got 4 extra defensemen. You've got Shillington, right, restricted free agent. Borgen, also restricted free agent. Hayden Fleury out of Anaheim. And Alexiak, an unrestricted free agent who I would think that Seattle should at least, have a little chat with him. Between now and when they make their expansion picks, they can talk to him. He's a legit top 4 defenseman, and he's gotten better as he's gotten older. So I'd be kind of surprised if they don't at least take Alexiak, and then, if they can get him on a contract, flip him. Sign him and then trade him out. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And then in net, I went with Price and Drieger. I said, okay, so I'll put Drieger in net. He's a UFA, but they're supposed to be trying to sign him to a contract, right? And then the extras, Kakkonen and Vanacek. So you draft 4 NHL level goaltenders and you keep 2 of them around. This roster, as it stands, would cost $69.2 million of the $81.5 million cap hit. And of course, a lot of these players you'd be looking to trade out. You do have some restricted free agents. But with that roster, you would be able to add. You would be able to go out and get a big name free agent if you wanted to. So that's an interesting setup. And then I thought, okay, now I want to make a different team. want to make a different team where I don't draft Carey Price, but I also want to make it so I don't draft the same player twice. So I had to go through every single team on the list and change it. Change who I was drafting. So on the left side with this team, I got 3 restricted free agents. I've got Bailey on that side, Nick Ritchie, Donato, and Zach Sanford. So pretty decent left side right there. And then down the middle, this is where you're going to have a struggle as Seattle to fill these spots. Kerfoot, Compher, Cousins, and L'Esperance. So I like L'Esperance. I do think he could be an interesting pick for a 4th liner, just in what I've seen of him in Dallas. And then on the right side, Vetrano, who shouldn't be on the first line, and yet with the goals he's scored with the team I've drafted, that's where he'd end up. Appleton, Pitlick, and Volkov. So Volkov was my pick out of Anaheim on that one. Extra forwards, just 3. This one I drafted 1 less forward and 1 more defenseman than on the first one. Gauthier, so Frederick Gauthier, Grundstrom, and Cole Lind, restricted free agent out of Vancouver. I would think Lind sticks around. I would think with this setup, Lind sticks around. That's Julian Gauthier, sorry. But yeah, Lind I would think sticks around. And then on the blue line, I went with Giordano, who there's rumors they're after Giordano. Schultz, because Schultz is available, so you go get Schultz. Pettersson, DeHaan, that's a good top 4. I mean, it's not spectacular, right? But it's a good top 4. And then you got Soucy and Cal Foote as your 3rd pairing. And then I also took UFA to be Jake McCabe, who, if they did sign him, he would get into that top 6, and then you trade one of the other guys. Kulak, Kukin, Haig, and Cholowski, who's a restricted free agent. So a lot of depth on that blue line, and likely a lot of guys you can trade out to try to get depth down the middle. And then in net, it's different because once you get those first 4 guys out, and it was like the 4 guys I picked here were the 4 that I really think would be good. So you get Koskinen and Mrazek. Mrazek UFA, so if you draft him out of Carolina, first of all, you probably get a gift basket from Carolina thanking you for not taking Jake Bean or Dougie Hamilton and trying to work a deal out with him. But yeah, Mrazek, they have to work out a contract with him. And then the extras, I went with Decord out of Ottawa and Wedgwood out of New Jersey. So I didn't draft PK Subban on either of these teams. This one, $68.4 million out of $81.5 million. I expect they will have a lot of cap space left over. I would expect that those rich contracts, they'll take a few of them, but not very many. You want to save yourself as much space as possible so that after expansion, after you've got that blueprint, that start, you can then build up. So let's go over to what Vegas did 4 years ago and look at players who were drafted and how much they played for Vegas, or did they? Now, this is in the order they revealed them at the draft. Calvin Pickard never played a game for Vegas. Lucas Spiza, that first year, played 30 games, 2 goals, 12 assists, 14 points, was not a key part of the Vegas Golden Knights. Teemu Pulkkinen, remember? Didn't play. John Merrill, that first year, played 34 games, 1 goal, 2 assists for John Merrill. William Carrier. Now, the asterisks mean that a team said, hey, can you draft this guy? Carrier was drafted from Buffalo. 37 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. They took a 2017 6th-round pick in order to agree to take Carrier, who's still a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. Not too shabby. Cody Eakin, 80 games, 11 goals, 16 assists, 27 points. Thomas Nosek, 67 games, 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points. Then you get into the crazy, wonky part of this, where they draft Jonathan Marchessault, and in exchange for taking Jonathan Marchessault, they also get Riley Smith and a 2018 4th-round pick. Now, this was money reasons, right? Where Florida wanted to save money on Riley Smith's contract. And so since they didn't want to pay him and they didn't want to pay Marchessault what they were worth, they get rid of that money off their team. Marchessault, 77 games that first year, 27 goals, 48 assists, 75 points. That was the one positive that people looked at out of the expansion draft for Vegas and said, that's not too bad. But are they first liners was also the question, right? Braden McNabb, 76 games, 5 goals, 10 assists, 15 points. Conor Brickley, they took a 2017 5th-round pick in order to take Conor Brickley. Never played a game for them. Chris Thorburn, they took a 2017 number 13 pick that they used to draft Nick Suzuki. Also a 2019 3rd-round pick, and going the other way to Winnipeg was a 2017 number 24 pick. And, of course, Thorburn never played for Vegas either. Pierre Edward Belmar, 72 games that first year, 6 goals, 10 assists for him. Jason Garrison, they drafted him from Tampa and also got Nikita Gusev, a 2017 second and a 2018 fourth. Garrison plays a grand total of 8 games for him that first year, had 1 assist. Jean-Francois Berube, who they draft out of New York, the Islanders talked him into it, giving them a 2017 first, a 2019 second, Mikhail Grabovski, and Jake Bischoff. Grabovski, of course, wasn't going to play. That was dumping his contract off, and Vegas goes fine, and they get a first rounder out of it. So, not too shabby. And, of course, all these assets they're picking up in exchange for who they're going to take, they all add up. They take these assets then and flip them and get other players, either at that time or later on, that help improve the team. So, the actual expansion list is one thing, but it's all these other assets being thrown at them by general managers. So if people should be mad at anything, it should be at all the general managers making deals to make Vegas better. James Neal, 71 games, 25 goals, 19 assists, 44 points for him. Derek Englund, 79 games, 5 goals, 18 assists, 23 points. Brendan Leipsic only played 44 games, 2 goals and 11 assists for 13 points. Colin Miller, 82 games, 10 goals, 31 assists, 41 points. He had a great first year in Vegas. Mark Mathot, traded. David Schlemko, traded. David Perron, 70 games, 16 goals, 50 assists for 66 points. Great first year, and then they let him go back to St. Louis. Oscar Lindberg, 63 games, 9 goals, 2 assists, 11 points. Griffin Reinhart, never played a game. Alexei Emelin, traded. Clayton Stoner, they in exchange for agreeing to take Stoner, they also acquired Shea Theodore from Anaheim. So it was, if you take Stoner, you also get Shea Theodore. So it wasn't that they got Theodore in the expansion draft. He wouldn't have been eligible. They got that in exchange for not taking one of the better defensemen that were available, which, looking back, was a mistake by Anaheim. Eric Howla, he was picked up on conditions as well. Alex Tuck was handed to them in exchange for taking Howla, and going the other way was a 2017 or a 2018 third to Minnesota. 76 games for Howla that first year, 29 goals, 26 assists, 55 points. And, of course, Tuck is still a really good player for Vegas. William Carlson, in exchange for the agreement to take Carlson from Columbus, they got a 2017 first, a 2019 second, and David Clarkson's contract. So taking on some dead cap money, they also got some prospects, draft picks, all that wonderful, well, 2 draft picks. And Carlson, pretty good first year. 82 games, 43 goals, 35 assists, 78 points. Not too shabby. Trevor Van Riemsdyk didn't play. Marc-Andre Fleury, of course. In exchange for agreeing to take Fleury, they got a 2020 second-round pick from the Pittsburgh Penguins. So they gave them something to take Marc-Andre Fleury. He had 29 wins that first year, 13 losses, 4 overtime or shootout losses, 927 save percentage. To that point, it was the best year of his career. And Nate Schmidt, who was taken from Washington, 76 games, 5 goals, 31 assists, 36 points. So what's interesting with this is that if you actually look at the expansion picks, there are some good players in there, but then you look at what else they were given, all these draft picks and all these players. They were given Riley Smith, Nikita Gusev, Jake Bischoff, Shea Theodore, Alex Tuck, and all those other draft picks. General managers helped Vegas get better. Vegas basically, in agreement for not taking the good players, got all of these other pieces. Right now we got GMs who might be trying to prevent these teams from being put together. You may have Carolina saying, we don't want to lose Jake Bean. So they're going to make an offer to keep Seattle from taking them. But I don't think GMs are going to be willing to sacrifice as much in this year's expansion as they did 4 years ago. Because some teams are still paying for what they did 4 years ago. So everybody gets mad at Vegas, but really, general managers, I feel looking back now, they overreacted to what they might lose in expansion. And now it feels like GMs are not willing to overreact. So you may have a better Seattle team coming out of expansion than what we had with Vegas, where this team coming out of expansion was basically compared with like just some of the worst teams in history. We may have a better team here, but it may be more of a challenge for them in order to acquire the other kinds of players that Vegas did that first year. It's going to be fascinating to watch. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video and hey, Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.